I want to be clear about something before we get into this. When people hear the word obsession, they immediately think of something unhealthy. Desperation, control, addiction. That's not what this is about. I'm talking about the kind of obsession where someone genuinely cannot stop thinking about you, where your presence lingers in their mind after you leave the room, where random little things remind them of you throughout the day, where they compare everyone else to the way you made them feel without even realizing they're doing it. And the strange part? Most people think this kind of emotional pull comes from beauty, status, or luck. It doesn't. Some of the most unforgettable people are not the loudest. They're not the richest. They're not even the most attractive in the room. They simply understand human psychology better than everyone else. They know how attention works, how curiosity works, how emotional memory works, and most importantly, they know how to make people feel something deeper than surface attraction. Because attraction gets attention, but emotional impact creates obsession. And here's the thing most people completely miss. The people who make others obsessed with them usually are not trying the hardest. In fact, they often do the opposite. They don't chase constantly. They don't over-explain themselves. They don't force connection. They create space, mystery, emotional contrast, safety mixed with unpredictability. And the brain becomes addicted to trying to understand them. So in this video, I'm going to break down 11 psychological behaviors that quietly make people think about you more, feel emotionally attached to you, and become deeply drawn to your energy. Not manipulation, not mind games, just human psychology used with awareness. And make sure you stay until the end, because one of these behaviors is so subtle that most people never notice it. Yet it completely changes how unforgettable you become. Let's get into it. Number 1. Be fully present every single time. This sounds simple, but almost nobody actually does it anymore. Most conversations today are divided conversations. Half attention, half distraction. Someone talks while checking notifications, listening while scrolling, replying while mentally somewhere else. And because distraction has become normal, real presence has become magnetic. I used to think attraction came from saying impressive things, being funny, being interesting, keeping conversations entertaining. But the people others become obsessed with usually do something much simpler. They make you feel like, for a few minutes, you are the only person in the world that exists. No phone, no scanning the room, no waiting for their turn to speak, just full attention. And human beings are starving for that. Because attention is emotional validation. When someone feels fully seen by you, their nervous system relaxes. Their guard drops. They start associating your presence with emotional safety. And emotional safety is rare. That's why people replay conversations with deeply present people in their heads afterward. Not because the conversation was perfect, because the feeling was. Presence creates emotional weight, and emotional weight creates memory. Number 2. Leave every interaction slightly early. This one is incredibly powerful psychologically. Most people stay too long. They keep texting after the energy drops. Keep talking after the peak passes. Keep hanging around trying to squeeze more connection out of the moment. But obsession grows in absence. There's something in psychology called the Zeigarnik effect. The brain remembers unfinished experiences more intensely than completed ones. That's why cliffhangers work. That's why unfinished songs get stuck in your head. That's why conversations that end too soon replay themselves afterward. When you leave while the energy is still high, your brain stays emotionally active in theirs. You become the unfinished thought. And unfinished thoughts create emotional tension. Think about the people you couldn't stop thinking about in your own life. Usually it wasn't because they gave you too much. It was because they left something unresolved. A feeling, a curiosity, a moment that ended before your brain was ready for it to end. That's what keeps people emotionally attached. Number 3. Have a life they cannot fully access. This is one of the biggest differences between attraction and obsession. Attraction likes availability. Obsession feeds on mystery. And mystery doesn't mean acting cold or playing games. It means your life feels full without needing another person to complete it. You have passions, routines, goals, friends, Projects. A private inner world. Your entire identity doesn't revolve around gaining someone's attention. That independence creates gravity. Because when someone senses there are parts of you they haven't fully unlocked yet, their brain keeps trying to figure you out. People obsess over depth, over layers, over people who feel emotionally rich instead of emotionally dependent. And the irony is, the less desperately you need attention, the more attention you attract. Because emotional self-sufficiency signals value subconsciously. It tells people, this person already has a meaningful life. Being included in it feels special. Number 4. Remember the small things they say. This changes everything. Most people listen just enough to respond. Very few listen enough to remember. And memory is emotional. Imagine casually bringing up something tiny they mentioned 3 weeks ago. A favorite childhood movie. A coffee they like. A place they once wanted to visit. Suddenly, something shifts inside them. Because now they realize, my words stayed with this person. That feeling is powerful. People want to feel significant. They want to feel memorable. And when you remember details most others forget, you separate yourself emotionally from everyone else in their life. It creates intimacy without trying to create intimacy. And obsession grows from emotional uniqueness. The people we can't stop thinking about are usually the ones who made us feel unusually understood. Number 5. Be unpredictable in small ways. Not inconsistent. Not chaotic. Unpredictable. There's a difference. Unreliable people create anxiety. Unpredictable people create excitement. And the human brain is wired to crave novelty. Novelty triggers dopamine. Dopamine increases emotional fixation. That's why little surprises matter so much psychologically. Maybe you react differently than expected. Maybe you introduce them to something random and meaningful. Maybe you suddenly show a softer side they didn't know existed. Tiny emotional shifts create curiosity. And curiosity is the beginning of obsession. Because predictable people become mentally invisible over time. But emotionally dynamic people stay stimulating. The key is balance. You stay emotionally stable while remaining psychologically fresh. That combination is addictive. Number 6. Take care of how you show up. Most people underestimate this completely. And I'm not talking about perfection. I'm talking about intention. The brain notices effort before it notices beauty. How you dress, how your skin looks, how you carry yourself, your posture, your energy, your hygiene. These things communicate how you feel about yourself before you ever speak. And self-respect is attractive, not because people consciously analyze it, but because humans constantly read subtle signals subconsciously. When someone consistently takes care of themselves, it signals discipline, awareness, standards, and standards create attraction. One thing people don't realize is how much skin affects first impressions emotionally. Not because flawless skin makes someone superior, but because healthy skin communicates vitality, consistency, and self-care subconsciously. That's why I like T. Hanley. Most skincare advice feels overwhelming because it throws 20 products at you and expects you to figure everything out yourself. T. Hanley simplifies it. You get a complete system designed to work together instead of random products fighting each other. Face wash. AM moisturizer with SPF. PM moisturizer for recovery overnight. Simple, consistent, easy to stick to. And consistency is what changes your appearance long-term. Not motivation, not occasional effort. Daily habits, especially SPF. If you've ever seen the truck driver sun damage photo where one side of the face aged dramatically faster than the other, you already understand how important sun protection actually is. Your appearance changes through repetition, and small improvements compound over time. Click the link below for 40% off your first box, plus a free gift worth over $20. Now back to it. Number 7. Give compliments nobody else gives. Generic compliments disappear instantly. You look nice. You're attractive. You're funny. People hear those constantly. But specific compliments create emotional impact. The way you explain things makes people feel comfortable. You notice details most people completely miss. You make tense situations feel calm. Now you're complimenting identity instead of appearance. And identity-based compliments stay in people's heads far longer because they feel personal, observed, real. The brain remembers what feels unique. That's why meaningful compliments create obsession, while generic compliments create temporary validation. Number 8. Be comfortable disagreeing. This is rare now. Most people are terrified of tension, so they become agreeable about everything. But constant agreement removes polarity. And without polarity, attraction fades. The people others become obsessed with usually have a strong internal center. They can disagree calmly without becoming emotional. They can hold their perspective without needing approval. That confidence creates respect, and respect deepens attraction. Because emotional strength is magnetic, not aggression, not dominance. Stability. Someone who stays grounded under pressure becomes psychologically memorable because most people collapse emotionally the moment tension appears. Calm disagreement signals confidence in a way words never can. Number 9. Make them feel like the interesting one. This might be the most underrated skill in human connection. Most people try so hard to be impressive that they forget something important. People become obsessed with how you make them feel about themselves, not how impressive you are. The people everyone loves talking to are usually not talking the most. They're asking better questions. Questions nobody else asks. Questions that make people feel emotionally alive. What's something you've always wanted to do but never said out loud? What's a moment that changed how you see people? What's something most people misunderstand about you? Those kinds of questions create emotional depth instantly. And when someone feels deeply understood around you, they crave your presence afterward. Because real connection is rare. Number 10. Show up consistently without becoming predictable. This balance matters more than people realize. Consistency creates trust. Unpredictability creates excitement. You need both. If someone never knows who you'll be emotionally, they feel unsafe. But if every interaction feels exactly the same, emotional stimulation disappears. The goal is stable energy with evolving expression, reliable character, fresh experiences. That combination creates what psychologists call safe excitement. And safe excitement is incredibly addictive emotionally because it satisfies two deep human needs at once: security and novelty. That's why emotionally balanced people become unforgettable. They feel calming without feeling boring. Number 11. Walk away from what doesn't serve you. This is the one that changes everything. Because nothing is more attractive than self-respect expressed through action. When someone sees you leave situations that drain you, leave toxic dynamics, leave people who disrespect you, without drama, it signals something powerful. It tells them your standards are real, that your boundaries are not performative, that your self-worth exists independently of external validation. And psychologically, people value what values itself. That's the truth. Desperation repels. Self-respect attracts. A person willing to walk away calmly communicates abundance emotionally. Not arrogance. Not ego. Inner certainty. And inner certainty creates obsession because emotionally secure people feel rare. Most people stay where they are tolerated because leaving feels uncomfortable. But the people others become deeply attached to are usually the ones who know when to leave. Because walking away from what diminishes you teaches others how valuable your presence actually is. So let's bring this together. Obsession is not created through chasing harder, or forcing attention, or trying to manipulate emotions. It's created through emotional impact, presence, mystery, attention, self-respect, curiosity, consistency, depth. The people who stay in your mind the longest are usually the people who made you feel something uncommon. And the beautiful part is, none of this requires becoming someone fake. It requires becoming more intentional, more aware, more emotionally disciplined. Because unforgettable people are rarely the loudest people in the room. They are the people who understand human emotion deeply enough to leave an imprint without forcing one. Subscribe for more videos like this every week.